Hello and welcome back to session 5. We're almost through our virtual convention. Now we're moving into the more encouraging cheerleader section of the exactly. I should have had my pom. Sometimes in the Sonlight booth, we get people who come in who really just need a word of encouragement. They need a listening ear. They need a shoulder to cry on sometimes. Like we get tears sometime in the booth. Sometimes it's because they have found someone that identifies with what they're going through, has been there, done that. Sometimes we share a story that resonates with them and they just lose it. So I cry very easily. I will try hard not to cry during these sessions because they really do pull at my heartstrings. So the first video that we're going to watch, the first conversation is going to be about that classic, what about socialization? That is a classic homeschooling question. I thought by now that question would have gone out of vogue, but no, we still hear it all the time. So socialization is a hot topic in homeschool world. So let's see what these ladies have to say. I have a couple of answers to that question when I got asked.
Yes, it really is truly a myth that homeschoolers can't get any socialization. Well, I was that high school biology teacher, and I had a class of 20 something kids, and they listened to me mostly, that whole time because I was giving them information that they needed to know. There was not a lot of socialization in the classroom. Not at all. So you honestly, your children, I feel, are better socialized in a homeschool environment because they are around people of various ages. Um, when you go to a homeschool park day in your area, you've got children of all different ages playing together and working together. So there are lots of opportunities out there. If you look at local Facebook groups, you can typically find a group that might be meeting at the park regularly. There are homeschool co-ops of various kinds in all different communities. Putting your child in some sort of extracurricular activity gives them a team to play with. It gives them a coach to be an authority figure. So many different ways. Of course, your church, you're really surrounded by people of all different ages there. Going to the grocery store, I mean, if they're going with you and they see you interact with people, then they learn at a very young age how to interact with people. And people do know this. We've had waiters or waitresses at the restaurant just comment on, oh wow, your kids talk. And so it definitely is not a difficult thing to get socialization for your children when you're homeschooling. And I mean, a lot of it depends on your definition of socialization. If it means being surrounded by people of your own age for multiple hours a day, well then, okay, no, they're not going to be socialized. But if your definition is, learning to interact with people, and working together with other people, then yes, there are so many opportunities for that.
I don't think it's a huge concern. I know people going into homeschooling think about it. Once you see how homeschooling works, you tend to realize that it's not going to be a problem. I mean, what I did to make sure my children were well socialized is I lived my life. And so they grew up talking to my friends' kids. We went to the post office, we went to the store, we went to the beach, we went to the aquarium. They knew that, like, if you had a question, go ask the guy who works here. They knew that if, you want to buy something at the store, like, this is the process. And they knew from a very young age how to talk to people because their world wasn't like restricted by age. So they were never afraid to talk to somebody older or younger than they were. And they had no concept that they should be nervous about talking to people because they saw me talk to people. They saw people talk to each other. And like, that's just how we do it. And so, yeah. And my kids played on all the sports teams they wanted to and did theater and Some of them went to high school for 4 years or less. And they've all gotten jobs, and they're all gone to Sunday school, and they've all done youth group, and they've all done all of those things that are just really normal, kid/human experiences. And socialization was never, my kids could make friends in a paper bag. They're fine.
If you are an introvert like I am, then yes, that was something I needed to plan for us to be out amongst the people. Now, I don't mind if you come to my house. That's lovely with me. But I don't always like to leave and get into a group of a lot of people. So for me, yes, that was something I really had to make sure that I met I have one very introverted child and one very social child. And so the two of us could have stayed home most all week and only made it out to the grocery store once and been perfectly happy. And this one is dying if I haven't been anywhere today. So you do need to know your family. But I think as homeschoolers, you have so much more opportunity to do meaningful things, to be with people that you care about, because you're not spending 8 hours a day in a classroom with people that are just like you, which I personally think is not socialization. And when you're in school, if you talk to your friends, you get in trouble. So that's not part of that either. But we joined co-ops. My girls played soccer. They were in Girl Scouts or American Heritage. I had one that played violin in an orchestra. They did Taekwondo. They were active in church. My kids were always doing things, much to the detriment of their mama, because it meant I had to leave the house every day. But that was okay. I did that for them. So I think you don't need to worry that your children are going to be odd because you're schooling them at home. I do think you need to involve your children in your life. I made my children purchase their own bubble gum at the grocery store. I made them talk to the lady at the checkout and say thank you and have a nice day. And I made them go to the doctor with me because I didn't have a babysitter. So they had to go wherever I went, and they had to be polite, and they had to talk to old people, and they had to talk to babies, and they had to talk to mamas, and they had to talk to everybody in between, which I believe is true social skills.
What about you, Judy? Did you guys have that socialization question? Did people ask you that question? And did you have an answer for it?
All the time. And my standard answer was this. When you go to work on Monday morning, how many people at your job are the exact same age as you are? Because that's what socialization looks like in a classroom setting. Grades are separated by age. And so how much more socialized do you think your child, who as a 7-year-old is sitting in a classroom of 20 other 7-year-olds, is getting, as opposed to my 7-year-old who goes to the grocery store and helps me shop off my grocery list and talks to the cashier and explains why they're not in school and we're grocery shopping together, or goes to the park and says hi, to the people that they go by. And I am very much like Lisa. I am an introvert, but I knew that my children needed to be active, intelligent members of society when they left my home. And so we did. We lived life together. We went to the park together. We went to the doctor's office together. We did all the things together. And when they graduated, they were able to carry on an intelligent conversation with people who were not their own age, both older and younger.
Yeah, I think that's key. I like to tell people, are you asking about socialization where we impart the norms of society to a person, or are we talking about socializing? Because last I checked, socializing was discouraged in school. Mm-hmm. And that's my snarky response.
Yes.
If it was a family member who had a genuine concern, then I might get into some of the details of what we do. Like I would joke that we don't homeschool, we car school, because we're constantly going from one thing to the next because we are very social. That's the other thing too, is if you are a social person, but you have a child who is not a social person, do not force your child to be an extrovert when that's your thing. Like, you want to be with people. Yes, they have to learn how to talk to other people, etc. And the inverse, like Lisa said, if you are an introvert, but you have a child who is an extrovert, then you need to allow for time for that child to be with people besides just you and your immediate family. So, there are lots of ways to find avenues for doing that. There's all kinds of clubs, there's all kinds of sports, there's church groups, Awana, that kind of thing. And I saw the one mom who said that she and her husband both work in healthcare, and the child does not have time to do a lot of those kinds of things. But if the child's okay with it, then it's okay. Like, don't feel like you have to do all kinds of things. More is not better in a lot of time, a lot of ways. Yeah. I did see another question too about what to do when you have a brand new baby. And again, can't tell you what to do. There are some moms that are like, they pop that baby out and they jump right into life like it was no big deal. And other moms that are like, oh, I need time to heal. I need time. So you do what you can do. And if you need to take time off, then you build that into your school year. And in 9 months that this is going to happen. So you plan on taking 2 weeks off, 4 weeks off, 6 weeks off, whatever it is that you need. And until that baby, if you have a colicky baby, it's different than a baby that naps, So again, we can't really give you like, here's what you do, but give yourself grace, give yourself permission to do what you need to do. Your kids will still learn. They will learn how to change a diaper. They will learn how to birth the baby. They will learn how to be patient because the baby has needs and you are allowing for those needs.
A lot of education goes on when a brand new baby comes to the house, and none of it is academic. It has a lot to do with learning how to work together as a team and to help mom with things and to help younger siblings. Our oldest daughter just had our latest grandchild in January, and it was just a lot of fun to watch how they all work together around that time. And like you said, ahead of time, this is one life event that you typically can schedule. Yes. You're pretty, certain that about when that baby is going to arrive. So plan ahead. If you need to double up on reading the month before the baby comes, do that. If you need to get some meals tucked into the freezer so you don't have to worry about cooking, do that. But yeah, there's a lot of learning that still goes on, even though it's not math.
Yes. So much of life. I mean, if we had more people that learned how to be patient with one another, because a child's needs comes before another child's needs, wouldn't this be a better world that we would live in? Okay, this next video is all about community and finding support. So we will talk a little bit more about that. Judy and I will talk a little bit more about that after we watch the video.
We've homeschooled and moved several times in our journey. And so there were some places we lived that were easier to find community than others. But I would say when your children hit about 6th, 7th grade, I would recommend that you be sure that you are allowing them to have friendships, whether that is playing sports at a local Christian school or in some kind of community sports, whether that is making sure, and of course, I would say this is very important, that they're part of a church, and hopefully a church that has a healthy youth group, people that they can get to know and start to befriend. Most of the communities I've lived in have co-op options where moms will teach certain classes and they'll meet once a week or twice a week. You can take advantage of 1 or 2 classes in that setting. Also, what was the last thing I was thinking of? Co-op. Oh, enrichment. Sometimes when my children were little, I didn't want to do co-ops, but we would have this group of moms who would get together once a month for enrichment. And I think that that's just really important. As a mom, you can get very isolated also. And so just to know that there are other people out there, even if it's one friend you make where you have similar ages and you can plan to do some field trip like things or go on a nature hike or do something, it's really important. And then as your children get older, there is once in a while in our homeschool communities, we tend to be pretty controlling. And sometimes that's to our kids' detriment. Letting them out a little bit to have friends and to see what other people are like, to have maybe other people who are teaching them some subjects so they get a handle of kind of where they fit in with their peers can be really, really helpful.
When I started homeschooling, I didn't know anyone who I knew people who homeschooled their kindergartner, but that didn't give me a lot of reassurance that my children were going to be okay. So I'm so thankful that homeschooling families now have so many resources. But I do think that having community in person and online is something that is valuable. And that can be a friend who's 2, 3, 4 years further into the homeschooling journey than you are. That can be attending a weekly co-op. That can be, a mom and me class that the library has for homeschoolers. And then you can just meet people there. We have such a great support system at Sonlight, specifically our app. You can get a mentor for your first year. And people always ask me, well, what if I have questions after the first year? I do not know one lady on our mentor team who would say, you know what, Sunny, it's been 367 days since you purchased your Sonlight curriculum. You are out of here. All of the ladies on our mentor team want you to be successful, and they are so helpful and are willing to invest as much as you want to be invested in. So that is a huge plus. We have our advisors who are all veteran homeschool moms. They know how to work the curriculum. That's what they're there to help you with. Like, how do I do this? Or I have a question. So many opportunities to get, we have a Facebook page. I forgot about that. So many opportunities to get support, but I do think support is important. You are doing something that while it is much more popular than when I started, it's still against the cultural norm. And if you have a bad homeschool day and you talk to a mom who has no concept of homeschooling, her kids go to school every day and she works or volunteers or whatever that is, and you tell her how hard your day was, I guarantee her first response is going to be, well, why don't you just put those children in school? And that is not support. And I don't really think that friend means anything bad by it. That's just all they know. So finding someone who knows your reality is so important.
If you go to the library during the daytime when everybody else is in traditional school, you may run into some homeschooling families. So that's one way to find them. There's so many options online these days. There may be local, like I mentioned before, look for local Facebook groups and things like that in your own communities. And Sonlight really does have an amazing online community for everyone in 2 different places: the Sonlight Connections Facebook and the Sonlight app, which is not part of social media. I know a lot of people are trying to get away from spending too much time on social media. So you can join the Sonlight app, and it is just filled with people that are sharing things that they're doing, asking questions. And the Sonlight mentors are on the app to support you and to ask questions and things like that and give you answers. Let's see, where else can you find support? One of the things that we do, and you can put this on the app, you can put this on the Sonlight Connections Facebook. Sonlight as a company prays for its customers. And so you can submit any prayer requests. And the team at Sonlight prays daily, each morning, and will include all of those prayers. And so praying together is absolutely a great support network too.
When my son was in his preschool years, he was nonverbal. And so when we were going through speech therapy and occupational therapy after a medical event, I was really trying to figure out the best thing to do. And I still remember just the sweetness of having someone consider my situation with me, and really look through that. And it's why I'm so passionate about what we do, because there was someone there for me. It's going to make me a little emotional. There was someone there for me that walked me through that. And it was just, gave me ideas, gave me encouragement that I needed. And I just got great advice. And so it was reassuring. We tried one thing, try this. If this doesn't work, come tell me and we'll figure out something else. But I felt like that there was someone who had my back that was going to help me consider my situation. And then if they didn't know the answer, they would find it, they would help me through, academic questions, not just using the curriculum.
Community is so important that it is, and we know that a lot of you live remotely. And we get that sometimes there aren't a lot of homeschoolers around you. And so it's hard to find your people near you, which is why we have this online option, the virtual option of being either in the Sonlight Connections Facebook group or the app. Personally, I prefer the app. That's just me. I find that if I get on Facebook, I go down other Facebook trails. But if I'm on the app, I get on the app and I just chat with my friends and then I get off. So it doesn't derail me. So we do encourage you, if you need community, if you need to be surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, who are on the same journey that you are, to be the primary influence in your kids' lives, to be in control of their education, all of those things, which is all the reasons that we homeschooled, then we do encourage you to come and join us on the Sonlight app, because that is just a very sweet place. Facebook can get snarky, but I have not seen snark in the app. So do come and join us there. Remember that if you do purchase a history, Bible, literature, or an all subjects package, you will be paired with a mentor, and then you have a one-to-one person that will pray for you and you can ask questions of. It's the whole Titus 2 thing, right? The older helping the younger. So take advantage of that. I'm going to remind you to not forget to schedule your education consultation so that you can take advantage of the special that we are offering. We're just about out of time. We have one session left. Actually, we have one more video in this session, and then we have one session left after that. So I don't want you guys to miss out. Maybe you keep thinking, yeah, I want to do that, but you keep listening to us and you keep not doing it. So don't forget to click that link up there and to schedule your appointment so that you can take advantage of this great deal that we are offering.
And that is for existing Sonlight customers as well, not just people that are new to Sonlight.
Correct. So so that's what I wanted to say about communities. Judy, did you have any extra thoughts?
No, I think you covered it.
All right, so this last video for this session is talking about extra activities. How much do you have to do? Do you have to do them? Let's see what Lisa has to say about that.
Again, you know your children the best. And if being involved in extracurricular activities causes them not to apply themselves to academics, or you find that you're involved in too much, I do know parents who do that, because there's a lot of good things available to homeschoolers. Like, oh, we go to the zoo on Monday and we go to music on Tuesday and we do ballet on Wednesday and we do soccer on Thursday. Well, when are you homeschooling? Because you have to actually do some spelling and some math at some point. So I think just being mindful of what is important to your family, and a mission statement is a great way to identify what's important. And being on the same page as your husband or your wife, if you're a homeschooling dad, just making sure that everybody knows what to expect, and then you can accomplish all of those things, and having some regular check-ins. I think that's another thing that homeschool parents tend to get, like, we'll do this and this is what we're doing, and they never take a minute to evaluate what's going on and find out, well, this is not working. So just because we've always done it doesn't mean that we should continue, because it's no longer keeping joy in our life. And that's really what homeschooling is about, is having joy and the relationship with your kids and time with your kids. And if something isn't serving that, then it's okay to reevaluate.
I remember I taught a writing class one year, and we had a student in my writing class who didn't turn in his papers hardly ever. And I asked him, I was like, why aren't you writing papers? And he's like, oh, well, my mom was a Disney princess, and so we go to Disney on Fridays. Okay, that's more important than writing papers. I see. So don't make the mistake of doing all the extracurricular stuff and not doing the really important things. Remember those big rocks, put those in first, and then you can do the extra stuff. I also had met a family who each child played 3 sports: football, basketball, and baseball, all of them. And a lot of those would overlap. And so football season, they were going to practice, and then this and that. And again, like, when are you home doing the schoolwork? So don't make the mistake of wanting to do it all. We cannot do it all. We are finite beings for a reason. We need rest, and we need to do what is the most important thing. So some of the activities are good. Too much is too much.
One of the hardest words for a homeschool mom to say is no.
Yeah.
And life comes in seasons. Yeah. There's a season when you're a newlywed, and certain, thing, you plan your life around that season. And then there's a season when you're a new parent and you have to say no to things that pull you away from that. And then there's a season, and that can be a fairly long one, depending on how many students you have, how many children you have, that is your homeschooling season. And so no guilt to saying no to, would you head up the nursery team at church? Or are you going to be able to be on the social committee this year at church? Or all of the things. And so it's important to learn to say no without guilt.
Yes, different seasons carry different things. So the summer season is when we get to go to the beach and have fun at the beach. In the winter season, we don't do that. That is not the time for those things. So just like the Ecclesiastes song says, to everything there is a season. And so there's a time for this and a time for this, a time for this and a time for this. So when you're in the season of homeschooling, you have to say no to some of the other things that you will get to do again. Trust me, I'm an empty nester now. I get to do things that I had said no to for a long time, and it's great. But for that season, I had to stop doing some of the things that I enjoyed doing, crafts and things like that. So before we go into our giveaway, I see some questions about the discounts. I want to be sure that is clear. Everyone who registered for the convention will receive an email after this is over that will give you a coupon for a $40 off $250. So if you place an order for $250 or more, you can apply that $40 off coupon. For those of you who are attending the event and you're live with us, and you schedule an appointment with an education consultant to talk through what your needs are, ask your questions, and figure out what it is that you need, you can receive 10% off of the already discounted packages. So that's 10% off on top of the 20% all subjects package discount, the 15% history Bible literature discount, and 10% off of science. So I hope that clarifies.
Yep. And there's also another promotion that's currently running, and that's 40% off from our hands-on materials. Those are discounted on the site, so it doesn't require a coupon or anything. So somebody asked if you could combine the 10% off with the 40% hands-on history, and the answer is yes. because the way you are going to get the 10% off your curriculum package is when you have your consultation, you will be given a special code to be able to do that. And yes, Lisa just reminded me that that hands-on promotion that's going on is 40% off from a history kit, as long as you are purchasing an HBL or more. So it comes along with it. But yes, Casey asked, is the 10% only if you schedule a consultation? Yes, you have to get a special code from one of our consultants in order to get that 10% discount. So you will need to schedule a consultation, whether you're brand new to Sonlight or whether you're an existing Sonlight customer. If you're an existing Sonlight customer and you just want to double check on your order and make sure you've got everything you need, just schedule one of our 15-minute time slots. You don't need a 30-minute time slot. So just a short, brief period of time out of your day, but you have to talk to a consultant to get that discount code.
Yes. A couple of other questions I saw come by about the summer adventure series that's pinned in the app. So Sonlight gives these really great free things occasionally throughout the year. And this is for the summer. You do have to register for it, but it is completely free. And you will get an email in your inbox that will have some book suggestions, some activity suggestions, nothing that you have to do. But if you're like, what am I going to do with these kids this summer? We have created some great activities suggestions for you. We also have our summer reading program, which we have done for the past few years. Parents can participate. If you're in the app, we are doing a mom's book club that's going to start next week, the 24th, whatever day that is, next week. So lots of great summer kind of activities, also completely free. So this doesn't really have to do with like teaching your kids, but it's still education. So take advantage of that. Level T and P is considered a history, Bible, literature, not in all subjects package, because it doesn't include. We're going to take a short break because we've been go. So we're going to play a couple of videos that will highlight our science experiments. I saw someone was asking about the science videos. This will give you a little, it's like a promo video for the science, so you can see just how fun they are. In the app, one of the moms posted a picture of her son doing the big jump. You'll see what I'm talking about when you watch the video. So that's what we're going to go to now. And you can join us in the next session when this is done.
Hi, I'm Luke, and welcome to Discover and Do. In the next 36 videos, we're going to cover a year's worth of scientific exploration through experiments. But we're going to do a lot more than just demonstrate an activity. Each video introduces a key question that we will explore. Really explore. When you look up how a boat floats, people will tell you that it's because of buoyancy. Okay, that's like saying that boats float because boats float. How does buoyancy work? We're going to find out. This year, in kindergarten, we're going to learn about physics, fibers, forces, flora, and fauna. Those last two mean plants and animals. We're going to discover how ants walk and do an experiment or two about why they build tunnels. We're going to pretend to be bees and discover how an insect sees. We'll learn about clouds, recycling, friction, chocolate, temperature, and much, much more. And we're going to have fun. That means we'll be silly, but also very clear. And we committed to making these videos as developmentally appropriate as possible. That means we're going at a pace that resonates with students while maintaining their ability to concentrate when they turn off the screen. And I love introducing big words and even bigger ideas. This means you'll be able to follow along with every experiment the first time, but still be learning things as you watch them over and over. This is guilt-free screen time. So come on, let's explore this amazing world as we discover and do together. Hi, I'm Luke, and welcome to Discover and Do. This year, we'll learn about light and shadows, water and oil, smells, sound, and adaptations. You know what causes rainbows, right? Don't worry, we'll discuss and demonstrate how light bends, what scientists call refraction, how that is different from dispersion, or light spreading out, why that happens, and how that makes bands of color. And we'll do that kind of thing for all 36 lessons. We'll walk through every experiment, cover all the important concepts, as well as some I just think are fun, and leave you plenty to discover and do on your own. Here in first grade, we'll dig into questions about birds, barnacles, light and lasers, polarity, radiation, DNA, lift, the moon, Mars, kites, cars, and so much more. If you joined us last year, you'll see some familiar feathers and meet new friends. If you are new around here, welcome. You're in for some fun scientific exploration that we created with kids in mind. Our videos are carefully crafted to help children concentrate both while we're watching and then as we go into the wider world. This is guilt-free screen time as we explore this amazing world together. Hi, I'm Luke, and welcome to Discover and Do. This year, we're exploring caves and camouflage, glaciers and gardening, soil, solids, and structures. We'll classify things by their properties, visualize the ocean's depths, and think about clearing icy steppes. In the following 36 videos, I will demonstrate every experiment so you can get an idea of how to do it yourself. And if you don't get a chance to try the experiment, in just a few minutes, you'll be able to see the results. In addition to showing you the highlights of the scientific process, I also talk through the key ideas of each lesson. So, whether you watch these videos to help you do it yourself, or make your school day faster, or as a great refresher after the fact, there's plenty to discover and do.